All right, welcome everybody to the PPM Winter Circle podcast. Today, we've got some guests in here, but before we get into that, my name is Hunter, and next to me we got Mr. Rodney.
Hello, guys.
We got in the yellow Mr. Randy.
Hello.
And in the black we got Mr. Ricky.
Hello.
And the guest we have on today is Miss Dallas Berry.
Hello.
And we have the Brad Berry.
The Brad Berry.
How's it going? Courtesy of Jake, I see.
That is correct. Brad, we hooked up with Brad and Dallas at the beginning of this year and kind of got into a partnership, you would say, with them at the beginning of the year. And it's been great ever since. They have a YouTube channel called Days of Dirt with Bradbury. So make sure to check that out. Mr. Devin will put that in the link below. And check that out on their channel. But we appreciate y'all coming in today and being on the podcast with us.
We're glad to be here. It was a lengthy drive, but I'm kind of glad to be standing now. So appreciate y'all having us.
Absolutely. So the first question we're going to jump off with is, so Brad, obviously you race. And the thing that I want to know is, what is your backstory in racing? How did you get started? And where you started put you where you are today?
Okay. So obviously, it's like most racers out there today. I grew up watching my dad race. He raced at Green Valley. He raced at the old Gadsden Raceway, but that was kind of before my time. Of course, watching him race as I grew up and everything, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to follow in his footsteps. Him and my uncle both, they raced. And, my dad, he kind of stayed in what they called the bomber class, which was basically your Chevelles, your Monte Carlos, your stock type cars. And I always told him, like, hey, I'm going to have a late model one day. And he's like, well, that's what I always said too, and I won't never forget. We built a. Do y'all remember the auction that used to be in Birmingham every year?
Yeah.
The Sentiment auctions?
Yeah. Charlie Sentiment.
Yes. We actually, we went down there every year religiously, and we'd buy that $50, $60 stuff and have truckloads of stuff coming back home thinking we had good stuff. And we actually bought an old left-hander chassis, and at the time, the rules for the hobby stock class at Green Valley said, hey, you got to have a stock front suspension and stock rear suspension. Well, it didn't say nothing about the middle. It said you could cut the floor pans, firewalls, all that. So that's what we done. Mm-hmm. We cut the Camaro clip in half and welded it to the side of the left-hander chassis, and it looked factory. It looked really good, and that was my first car. And and we ended up selling that car, and I bought a car off of a friend of mine. It was a Dirty White Boy chassis at the time. It was a copy of a master built, and I won't ever forget my dad, when we put it in the shop down there at the time, the shop's not much bigger than this room, our old shop, and he's like, I can't believe we ever seen one of these dang things sitting here. And, of course, he used some more words and all, and I just thought that was funny, and that's where I got my first late model, and we ran it at Fort Payne, before they cut the track down. This was the old track where it was uphill, downhill. First year racing it, man, it was a learning experience. It was the frame rails went this way, then they went this way, and it wasn't straight after the end of the year. So we cut that off, and I put another clip on the front of it and raced it, and done really good with it. And then we ended up I went to Mississippi and bought a GRT, and that's how I got officially started in late model racing around 2012. Mm-hmm. And then that was when me and her met shortly after I got that car, and from there it's just been uphill from there. So we've dabbled in the crates and limited steel block top classes, and it's pretty much where we've been ever since.
So you know what you was getting into when you hooked up with him and got married, and
Yeah, I did, because I'd went to the racetrack since I was a kid with my granddaddy, so I kind of knew.
so you was around it, yeah.
I wasn't prepared, but I knew.
Yeah.
And she still married me, so I must have done something right.
There's a lot of women that wouldn't like that sport.
Oh, no. No, not at all. I am very blessed.
You are.
And I tell people that all the time. I'm very, very blessed, obviously, to have a wife that is supportive as she is. Not just a wife, a family as well.
Right,
and
right.
and I think our daughter actually, I think she loves it more than we do sometimes. So that's kind of what scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
So Dallas, what do you do for the race team? I see that you just seems like you do a little bit of everything.
Well, I do a little bit, not a whole lot, but I will change gears. I do most of the tires, prepping through the week, grinding, siping, grieving, all of that stuff. And then I
does
kind of
the
keep him
hard
in
work.
line.
Exactly.
A little bit.
I do the important stuff.
I'm not as dumb as I look.
Well, who washes the car?
Well,
Him, not me.
okay, maybe I am.
She's pretty smart. So you've raced a lot of different chassis. I guess what I'm saying, I guess what I'm trying to ask you is which one did you feel the most comfortable in? Not to throw anybody, I just wondered what you was comfortable in and what you felt like you could adjust the best.
Sure. So as far as the chassis goes, probably hands down, and like you said, this is not a knock on anybody. My all-time favorite car that I've had was that '06 GRT. I mean, it was the square tube cars, the ones that everybody calls the goats.
Yeah.
It just seemed like when the track slicked off, I mean, you could drive it straight, kept good forward drive. That's been my favorite car. I mean, obviously the Capital's right there with it. When the Capital, when it's driving good, it's like driving a go-kart. So,
Yeah.
and that's how, the best way I can explain that chassis. But all-time favorite, like I said, not throwing shade on anybody. It's just that old goat chassis that everybody calls them.
Tacky or slick?
Yeah.
Tacky
What do
or
I like?
yeah.
Oh, I like it slick.
Okay.
I like it slow and slick. I don't like that wheel spin. That's not me.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I meant by qualifying earlier.
Yeah.
So along with, what y'all was talking about, Dallas doing a lot of things on helping you with the car and such. So, Dallas, we have a lot of racers' wives who watch this channel and everything. What is your perspective on being a race wife and supporting Brad, especially because, this past year y'all traveled up as far as Tazewell up in there or was it volunteer for the Topless Series?
We didn't make it to either. We didn't make it to those. Those got canceled. So Wartburg would have probably been the farthest we went.
So, traveling far, what's your perspective on being a race wife and doing all those things along with working on the car?
So you have been to Wartburg.
I have.
It's hard. I don't always love it, but we do it, and that's all I know to say. We get it done.
Be honest, man.
We get it done. Sometimes I absolutely hate racing. I'm like, why don't we sell everything? But I like traveling. That's the thing that I've always enjoyed. I don't like racing locally because you have all the yan and all that stuff. But I like traveling to. Well, I won't say that. I like Smoky Mountain and stuff in places like that. We'll say that.
Fair enough.
Yes, I have been to Wartburg. This was our first time, and I will say that was a very interesting experience. And I'm kind of glad you brought that up because the year that we've had Hunter, it's been up and down, and it seems like we've had a lot of downs where it's been easy to say, hey, we've had a difficult year, a hard year. But we went to Wartburg, and everybody told me, hey, it's a wheel spin track. You got to stay sideways. And I'm sitting there thinking, man, this ain't going to be good for me, And go out there, and we qualified third, I believe, in my group. And I'm like, hey, we might not be too bad. When we got there at like 15 minutes after the gate opened, which is very unusual for me, too. So I'm like, hey, we'll get a good parking spot. I don't know nothing about this place. We pull in, and it's slap full.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, holy crap, where are we going to park? And so we drove around. And finally, we went up past where the Topless guys had their tech set up and was going to come back down the hill on the back side. And there was a section sitting there, and it was just big enough to fit a normal pickup truck. If you'd have had a dually or something like that, you would have never done it because you'd have fell off the hill. So we pulled in there, and I know the guy watched our channel a little bit, and he had talked to us, and he's like, yeah, come on up. And he had me to where my front bumper was on his tailgate. And I tell people all the time that, you know, we qualified good. We had a terrible race. As soon as the race started, I knew I was in trouble because I went backwards like a rock. Ended up losing oil pressure with about 10 to go, had to pull off. But I truly believe Wartburg this year was the best part of my season so far. Because when we got there, we got everything unloaded. I went to the driver's meeting, came back. My dad said, hey, there's a guy looking for you. Don't know who it is, didn't say his name. He said he's going to come back and talk to you. And I said, okay. And he finally came and found me, and he said, man, he said, I seen y'all's video where you and Dallas got baptized a couple weeks ago. And he said, I just wanted to come tell you. He said, we seen that video. He said, I'd been struggling, lost my dad. And he said, I got saved the week after I seen y'all's video. And he said, I just wanted to tell y'all I appreciated that. And I don't say that to glorify me or nothing. I'm just glad you brought that up because that was all God. And we have been growing in our faith a lot this year. And it's been a very trying season for us. So I told the guy right there, I said, I don't care how this night goes. That was the best race that I came to all year long, and it truly was. It was true. Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Never forget that day.
Yeah, I will never forget that day. And I'm not going to say his name because I don't feel like that's my job, but I know y'all know him, and it meant the world for me that he came up there and just expressed his salvation to me. That was worth the 3.5 hour trip all day long.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was going to ask you how your faith played into what you do. I know you've had an up and down season, but there has to be travail. There has to be pain before you get that
Absolutely.
gain sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. And, you know, and that's kind of what we done. You know, my faith, I found my faith several years ago, and I didn't do my job. I fell back. I got backslid and turned my back and walked away, truthfully, just to be point blank. And this past spring, he talked to me, and I truly believe that if I wouldn't have called on his name to renew where I was needed to be, I believe it would have been my last chance. I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And you know, and as soon as I done that, everybody told me, like, hey, get ready for the darts because they're going to start coming. And sure enough, they have been coming, but we've got that armor, and I'm glad to have that armor, and it has truly helped me get through this season because it has been mental and physically tough.
Yeah.
So.
I had a pastor one time, he said, when you go out there and you say this and you say that, guess what?
Oh, absolutely.
Your target's usually that big, but he said all of a sudden it gets that big.
Sure.
But, you know, none of us is perfect. We're just trying to do the best
Absolutely.
we can. But, yeah, I'd seen that too, and that's the reason I was asking that. So.
Yes.
And the reason I even mentioned Wartburg is the boy back here that works back here, that does our welding. Mm-hmm. He said, I've seen that guy somewhere. I said, he's probably raced up there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
Didn't mean to get off topic. I felt led to do that. So
that's fine.
You're good, bud. You're good. Absolutely. So at this very moment, we're going to take y'all to the 30-second get to know you. And this is a new little segment we're going to do. It's 30-second get to know you presented by PPM Racing Products. And what we're going to do is I've got a list of questions, and it's 30 seconds per person to ask them and get a little insight on them other than what they're explaining to us now. So they will have 30 seconds to answer as many as you can. If you answer the ones I have in under 30 seconds, then, I mean, you do.
So it's information that you're going to get that you never would have known.
Yeah, never would have talked about it on here.
can you go ahead and call Pizza Hut and order us a barbecue pizza from Cinnamon?
Actually, that one's Bridget. Bridget's there. Oh, I knew it's coming.
Okay.
That was a good one.
I think Brad knows something I don't know.
Oh,
I'll fill you in later.
yeah. I don't know. Brad might come up. Well, I know Cinnamon and Bridget both come up a little short. You know?
He's blushing.
Yep. They don't watch this and know exactly what's going on.
I just thought it was hot in here.
It's steaming. All right. So, Brad, we're going to put you up first.
Alrighty.
Again, 30-second get to know you presented by PPM Racing Products. These are going to be questions that we don't normally ask on the podcast, except the last one, maybe the other one. But other than that, it's going to be kind of basic. Just answer them as fast as you can, and we'll try to get through them all. So, let's see here.
I'm prepared again.
No, I have the notes of the questions.
Bridget
but
got him off guard.
I'm telling you. She normally does. Takes my knees right up from underneath me. All right.
You want me to count 1,001, 1,002?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. All right. You ready, Mr. Brad?
I'm ready.
All right. What is your favorite food?
Steak.
Favorite color?
Red.
Favorite track?
Magnolia.
If you go on a road trip, what kind of music are you listening to?
Southern Rock.
You stop at a gas station, what's your snack and soda combo?
Sprite. Payday. And some peanuts.
That sounds pretty good. All right, last question. Who's your American racer?
American Racer.
There we go. Right on the money, 30 seconds.
Perfect. That wasn't a poll time. That was about a third or fourth time.
Flyman waved a little late, too.
Hey, you can get it done from there.
That's right.
All right, Miss Dallas, you ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to throw them random. It ain't going to be in the same order.
Okay.
All right. Go to a gas station. What's your snack drink combo?
Mountain Dew and chips.
If you're on a road trip, what kind of music?
Country.
Okay. What kind of food?
Pizza.
What kind of pizza?
Pepperoni pizza.
There we go. Ford or Chevy?
Chevy.
All right. And again, American Racer or Hoosier?
American Racer all day.
Very good. Oh, she got you, Brad.
She won.
Now, I might.
See, I told
Somebody-
He said it was a second, third row. Didn't he?
Right, yeah.
Hey, somebody might watch and be like, he asked you more than her. I don't know. My mind kind of. I didn't have my notes. I'm going to have to double up on that one. I'll have to get me a phone for that and a stopwatch here.
Bad thing is, I think you did throw an extra question in on her.
Yeah.
And she still beat you, Brad. Come on now.
I told
And I fumbled bad. Fumbled my words. All right. All right. So we'll hop back in here.
So what made you start the YouTube channel?
What made us start the
Or
YouTube
how did it come
channel?
about? Or what? you
Well,
know?
what we had done is we had Facebook forever, and what we would do is we 12 years today. Oh well, look at that. There's something I didn't know, but anyways, we would go to the racetrack and we'd go Facebook Live, or she would go Facebook Live. The only time I was on the track, she wouldn't be videoing the whole races and all, just when I was on the track, because we had partners with us that was in Ohio, North Carolina, people that just couldn't be there to watch us race it. So we done those live videos just to give them something to where they could spectate, so to say. And we got to doing those, and we would try to post on Facebook, and we got up to 2,000 or 3,000 followers or whatever, and it just kind of got stale. And truth be told, and I've told the Hunt the Front guys this as well, they came out and started YouTube, and I'm like, duh, why have you not been doing that? You get on YouTube all the time and watch stuff like this. Why didn't you do this? And so they kind of set the way for that, I feel like, and we joined the YouTube, and man, it took forever to get that first 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. I mean, we would get multiple views, 1,000 views, but just couldn't get those subscribers. And once it hit the 1,000 subscribers and you could monetize it, then it started making sense. And I do want to say monetize. I want to use that word loosely because it's not what everybody, everybody thinks you got YouTube, you got plenty of money.
Yeah, you're a YouTube millionaire.
Right, yeah. But YouTube has helped us substantially more than money. It has brought us partners such as you guys, Penske, Brian, people that I would have never dreamed of having as a partner. And not to mention fans. I mean, we got merchandise that's in Texas and Canada and Australia, and I mean, that just blows my mind that there's something with my name on that that's
Yeah.
halfway across the world, you know, and that's where your money really comes from, is your merch.
And they actually purchase something with your name on it.
Right, exactly. That
Yeah,
still
that
blows
was
my
like,
mind.
well, that's the first time we ever sold something with our company on it. I was just like, man.
Why does somebody want that?
Yeah.
And then they want you to sign it. You're like, man.
Do you know who I am?
Right.
So, you already said your favorite color was red. Is there something special about your wrapper, your lettering job this year? I'm sure there is.
Yeah, well, this past year was my 20th year to have a race car. So that Camaro that I was talking about earlier, it was exactly 20 years ago. And as soon as we got done with it, it was red and white. At the time, it was 15. That was my football number. And then I guess going back kind of to where I'm at now is we done a throwback one year to one of my dad's cars, and he was 27. That's where the number 27 came from, and so that's why I'm 27 now. Just kind of, that's what he was, so I carried it on. But yes, 20 years ago was when we got that first race car built, and it was red and white and 15. So we done a throwback this past year to kind of honor that, so to say. And I like the old school look. So that was my main thing. That was my main thing about Brandon. Whenever he done he calls them decals. I call them stickers. But when he designed it, I told him, I said, I want it to look hand painted, and I think he done a phenomenal job.
His number kind of looks like Dad's number, that blue, that 11 that Dad used to have. I mean, you was talking about Charlie Sentman earlier. We went over there we used to go every year to the one in Knoxville. Dad went over there one year and bought a trailer, and it was a trailer and had a compartment on the front with doors. And we thought, man, we are
Got something.
And then he went in there and had a tar rack on top of it. We just loaded back truck. Then he went and bought the letters that you buy, that you peel off, like in that picture over there. And then stuck it on. We thought, man, we are it.
Them sticker sheets.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Brad, you said a minute ago, like you ran, you have a lot of great sponsors and a lot of great partners and stuff like that. And just going with the YouTube, it's helped exponentially grow those partnerships that you get out of your area, I guess you would call it. What's something that's really pushed you along other than YouTube, making the relationships with those people? Is it just the YouTube, or do y'all do y'all talk weekly? Like how is your relationship with those partners?
Yes, we try our best to make them a personal relationship, not just a business relationship. That's one thing I felt like that back where I'm from, there was a lot of people that raced, back in my dad's time and all. And when I was coming up through high school, which I got a funny story, I can tell you how I got my first motor here in just a second. When I was coming through high school, it was hard for me to go get a job because I was so into football. Either I had two options to go after I graduated, was either football or racing, and I wanted to do them both. And so it was hard for me to get a job during high school. I mean, I worked in the hay fields picking up hay with all the farmers and all that during the summer, but it was hard for me to pay for racing. And when you would go up to these people and say, hey, I've got a race car, are you interested in being some kind of a partner, not a sponsor? And as soon as you say race car, they're done.
Yeah.
And I feel that a lot of these people that I would ask had been burnt. People would come up and say, and I think, and that still happens today, I'm not saying we're perfect by no means. We all make mistakes, but I feel like that's one thing that racers today struggle with when they get that partner. Like you guys are Brian or Penske, a big name guy, not just a big name guy, the small people, the small people that are struggling to pay their bills every week right now with this economy. You got to go above and beyond what they're expecting you to do, and that's what we try our best to do with each and every one of them. And, like I said, I'm not saying we're perfect. We fail just like everybody, but I try to provide an ROI to
Yeah.
all of my sponsors
Yeah.
or partners, however you want to look at it.
Return on investment.
Return on investment. That's right.
I tell those guys, they'll ask me about that, and I told
They
them the
don't know
same
what it
thing.
is?
I'm like, I need to see a return on my investment in you. And they're like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's what the mentality is you give me $500, I put a sticker on your car, and that's it. But, I mean, what does that do?
Yeah, there's more to it. Yeah, I agree. I noticed did you do some driving for Red?
Did?
What's your relationship with Red? I was curious about that.
That's kind of funny. We went to Talladega weekend last fall. It was the first time they had the Hunt the Front Series weekend there, NASCAR weekend last fall. Red had failed and hurt his knee. Well, our normal parking spot, there was a big late model race there, and like I said, I don't get there but an hour before the driver's meeting. It was full. So we drove on around and we parked under the scoreboard over there by Red. Didn't think nothing of it. I mean, I'd talked to him in passing and knowed his grandson. I mean, me and him talk a little bit. And anyways, Red got hurt and he couldn't drive that night. So one of his guys come up to me and was like, hey, you want to drive Red's car tonight? And I was like, what? And he's like, well, Red hurt his knee. He's like, you think you can? He said, just come over here and see if you can fit in his seat. That's going to be the big thing. And I'm like, well, thanks, And so I went over there and I was like, we're going to have to take all the padding out for sure. And we sat down in it, and I was nervous as a cat, number one, because it's Red.
Right.
Number two, I'm there in my personal car trying to make the Hunt Front race, and they've got some great competition that follows their series. And I'm like, man, I ain't never drove two cars in one night. This is going to be difficult. And it was, but man, it was a blast. And to get to know Red, man, he's got some stories.
I bet he
and
does.
he is sharp as a tack,
Yeah.
and he will have you laughing. It's amazing the stories he has.
Yeah, I bet he does.
And he was supposed to be at Smoky Mountain the week before that when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame up there. And he was telling me, he said, you was up there, right? And I said, yeah, I was up there with the Topless Series. And he said, it's funny. He said, the knee that he hurt, he was telling me a story about back when the track was asphalt. He got T-boned. I think he said Harry Gant. Don't hold me to that. But he got T-boned by Harry Gant that day, and he hurt that knee that day. And I was like, man, that's crazy how that works out,
Yeah.
So, on a weekly deal when you're racing, how do you prepare your car? Say you're going to, for example, you're going to Wartburg. Never been there. What do you leave the house with? Like a standard setup, or you just kind of compare it to another track, or how does Bradbury work this out?
Well,
The Bradbury.
So the biggest thing that I do is number one, I try to contact people that I know is trustworthy. And y'all had one of the guys that I contacted on the show not too long ago was Jed. I believe he was one of the first people I contacted, and just try to find people that I know's got a little bit of experience there, and they're not going to steer me in the wrong direction on purpose.
Right. That's good advice.
Yeah,
Good advice.
Got anything? Yeah.
No, buddy, I'm good. I'm enjoying this.
So that story I was telling you about
gonna say, tell us
the
the
motor, the first motor I ever built, my dad had this 350 block that had sat under the bench in the garage forever. He had it wrapped up in a plastic bag, had grease all in the cylinders, everything. So we go to get ready. We're needing a motor. We got this car built that we have bought, the frame for $60 and all the stuff that's just been laying around. My dad gave me $5 every day to go to school to buy lunch with. So I got to calculating all this up. It's like, man, I got to have this thing bored. I got to buy rings, pistons, all this stuff. And machine work's going to cost a little bit of money. And like, man, I need some money. So I was like, hey, I'm going to start taking a bologna sandwich for lunch every day. So I started fixing a bologna sandwich and took a bag of chips, for lunch at school. And next thing I know, I had about $1,000 saved up. Like, hey, it's time to take this motor to the machine shop. We take it down there, and We actually took it to Wendell Vinson, and this was my first dealings with him ever, and I was in like 7th or 8th grade at the time, and he calls us and he's like, "Your total's like $1,200," and my dad's freaking out, like, "How you got $1,200?" And I was like, "Oh, don't worry, I got it covered." We go and pick the motor up, and after we picked the motor up, I gave him money, no thoughts about it. I couldn't even drive at the time, so my dad had to drive down there. We get back in the truck, and he says, "Where did all that money come from?" And this is where I messed up. I learned my lesson real quick. I said, "Well, that $5 you give me for lunch every day?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "I've been taking bologna sandwiches for about a year." And he said, "Okay." Next day I got up and I had $2. So that's how I built my first motor, and I learned my lesson real quick on that.
He know who was paying for that bologna.
That's
didn't
right. I was double dipping, I guess you could say.
Sort of.
Had to do what I had to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Racers will always find a way to make it work somehow.
Yeah.
One thing I have figured out, you're a resourceful guy.
That's right. That's right. I try to be.
So, last question I got for you is actually for Dallas, because Brad, I don't know your answer. When y'all go out of town, or even maybe when you go to your local track, where do y'all go to eat? Everybody's got that place that you eat at after the races. Do y'all have that one place, or is it kind of just depending on what you're kind of craving?
Well, it kind of depends on where we go. If we go to Talladega, we eat at Jack's on the way, and we eat at the store on the way home. But if we go somewhere else, we don't know. We just kind of pull in somewhere whenever he says he's starving to death and he's about to die. We don't know.
I feel that.
I'm just looking for that steak you said you was going to get me in a little bit.
That is correct. I'm sorry that I can't take you to that Dairy Queen down by your place.
Where are we getting this steak? That's what I want.
Going with the Texas Roadhouse, bud.
Just leave the cinnamon on the roll.
I'll tell Bridget to lay it down.
Brad, you got any sponsors you want to thank?
Absolutely, yes. I would love to thank each and every person that has always been with me and helped me out. I've had so many people over the years. First and foremost, my mom and dad, they've supported me from the get-go. They instilled it in me. Dallas, she's been behind me, I would say 95% of the time. But no, she's always supportive, very supportive of me. And like I said, Maggie, she's right there with us. All of our product sponsors, we got Penske brand, Gorsuch, Marshall and Travis, they're great people. Hunter at Penske. So I got two Hunters. Sometimes that gets a little confusing. All of you guys here at PPM, y'all have always been great to me. Even before the personal kind of relationship we have formed here, I've always had great things to say about you guys. Y'all's customer service has always been top notch. Thanks to WJI Enterprise, if you're in the Knoxville area and you need some Cornwell tools, hit up Bill Irie. That's the guy up there. He's always been great to us. He's more like a family friend to us. Brandon Boyd at BB Designs. Man, there's so many people that's helped me throughout the years that's maybe had life happen and just had to move away from racing, such as Brandon and Wendell Vinson. They've had me great motors here the last couple of years, and things kind of life played out to where we're not together no more. That's kind of why we're not racing this year. But they've been great to me for the last 6 years, and I have no bad words or no ill will or nothing bad to say. That's all been great to me. KT Heating and Air, he stayed with me that's actually been one of my longest running partners. He stayed with me for about 10 years until the economy got to where he just had to shut his heating and cooling business down. But that's kind of what brought that ROI up was when he first signed with us, he come up to us like a month later and was like, "Man, my return on investment, y'all installed me 4 new AC installs since I've been with y'all." And he said, "That's all I can ask for." So yeah. I've had great people, and I look forward to seeing where it continues to go. I'm excited. I'm excited about the future. As long as we can get through next month and everything goes good next month, I think racing's got a good future ahead of it.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, it sparked a new question for me. Just that, and it has the news that came out this past week. Flow Racing teamed up with the Lucas Series and now Flow Racing is the presenting sponsor for Lucas. So in that sense, along with that, and you're talking about, return on investment and, what you do on YouTube has helped your sponsors and such. I mean, that's part of, yes, in a way you'd say promotion.
Yes.
How do all of y'all feel, and speak as freely as you want, feel about the promotion in today's racing? I think personally it is something that is well below a standard now. It is not as what it used to be. And a lot of things have happened recently, and tracks closing, stands not being full, racers not being took care of as should. I think it's playing a big factor. But what I'm saying in that is Flow Racing, how does that affect weekly racers like you, and also weekly racers as far as and as tracks as putting bums in seats?
Y'all want me to go first? We might be here a minute.
What a question. What a nice question.
That's the truth.
Don't worry, we can edit now. We can edit.
Well, I'll say it very simply. I'm glad they come together. No, I mean, Flo carried the races anyway. I'm sure that's how the points fund, the purses and everything went up for them. But racing can't survive on that alone. You got to have racetracks before you can have them big races.
Yes.
Yeah, the only question is does the tracks, do they get compensated?
Or you end up like we got tracks around here, special event tracks.
Mm-hmm.
And that don't always work in certain areas.
Well, it's good exposure for the
Yeah.
racers
Oh,
and their
absolutely.
sponsors.
Yes.
But me and Hunter kind of talked about it a little, everybody has to get the piece of the pie for everybody to be happy.
Sure.
So what I'm concerned about is the track promoters, if they don't get the compensation they need for that deal, I don't see how it's fair to them, but I can see the exposure for the racer and it making them grow in their team.
And from what I've heard, that's where it ain't working out.
Yeah.
I ain't got nothing.
So I got an opinion, and obviously, I mean,
You're like everybody else.
I was about to say, racers all have an opinion, and y'all know the saying.
Yeah.
I'm not saying streaming's not broken. I think there may be some broken issues that need to be fixed, and it could be beneficial to everybody, just like you're saying.
right.
Everybody needs a piece of the pie. I
Right.
100% agree with that. But, and all I can speak on is my area. I'm not saying this for all areas. I feel like this day and time, social media is a very powerful tool if you utilize it correctly.
Yes.
I feel like a lot of racetracks now, the way they promote is they make a generic flyer that says, "Hey, we're racing this week. Come see us. Gates open at whatever." And that's fine. That's informative for the people that need to know. But that's not doing nothing for the people that don't know what you are or what you're providing.
Right.
I don't feel like when I was growing up, I remember there being newspaper articles, newspaper write-ups. You had this rival versus this rival. Have a Tampa series coming in, could your local heroes.
Beat to have a Tampa guys. Yeah, that was a big deal.
You don't have that no more.
No.
When those guys come in, you got, hey, see Brandon Overton, see Shepard, that's what they're banking on. And I get that. I completely get that they're the big guys. But I think you got to get back to your local advertising. And I think that's where we struggle a lot now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything, Mr. Randy?
Well, my only thought on it would be that this problem we're talking about, it exists at the very top.
Mm-hmm.
That's where 2311 and Front Row have got NASCAR suits.
Absolutely.
Same issue. It's all about profit sharing.
Absolutely.
So it's not an easy problem to solve. You just have to sit down and talk.
That's where it starts, is admitting there's a problem
Yeah.
and trying to find a solution.
Right.
And so many times now the tracks don't care what the racers have to say. It's always the racers are complaining, the racers are doing this. When sometimes there are some bad racers. There's bad apples in everything you do.
Yeah.
But so many times the racers are truly trying to give criticism where they know could be beneficial, and tracks are like, oh, they're just complaining.
They're giving criticism not in a bad way,
Yeah.
but it may come off in a bad way,
Yeah,
and I can totally see that.
It's constructive.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes.
It might work better instead of Saturday night, calling them Monday and telling them.
That's true. Yeah. not after you just got wrecked.
Or you didn't get scored right, so your points are wrong.
I want to say real quick, I appreciate y'all starting this up. I appreciate y'all trying to allow personalities to be exposed to your viewers. I've tried to. I have watched all of y'all's episodes so far, and the first one I watched it, and I was like, man, I didn't realize there was 3 brothers. I honestly did not know that, but I will say, Ricky, you mentioned that you might have been a crybaby, and that meant a lot to me. Mm-hmm. That shows your dedication and shows your heart and your soul that you're proud of what you've done here. And
I appreciate that.
And that takes a lot to do that. And I appreciate all of y'all here.
Yes.
Well,
Appreciate
guys,
you guys.
absolutely. I'm going to take y'all over to the PPM Winter Circles product spotlight. Today on the product spotlight is going to be our droop limiter, the PPM 0149. You can get it in a spring combination or with a puck. Every droop limiter comes in the form where you can run either one. And if you don't know how to hook it up to the rear end, give us a call. We've got different clamps and different brackets for that. If you want to pair it up with just a basic clamp, check out the PPM 4015 HD for your standard. Or if you want the bearing swivel type, check out the PPM 0146. And that'll hook you up on your droop limiter for your upcoming season. And here we are.
You can always call Dallas. She'll tell you how to hook it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a good idea. Don't recommend that.
I just want to know where that teleprompter was that he was reading from.
Right here. Right up here.
Hey, did you mention the Facebook like share?
Contest.
There we go. Look at that.
Let's have a contest.
Hey.
Sorry, I had Bridget
You
and
thought
cinnamon
you
on my
remembered
mind.
it all, didn't you? You thought you had it done, didn't you?
I did. I come up a little too short twice on that one.
Y'all don't have a good time here, do you?
All right. So, along with thanking y'all for watching this podcast, we want to do a giveaway. So, what we're wanting to do is you like this video, subscribe to the channel, be a subscriber or subscribe, and you share this video. It does give us notifications whether you do all 3 or not. And in the video description, you have to comment the Brad Berry's car number. So, and you will be entered for a chance to win a hat and a hoodie for this upcoming cold season. You'll get a hat and a hoodie from PPM. So we will do a drawing on that a week from when this podcast comes out. So make sure to do that, like, subscribe, and comment the Brad Berry's card number, and we will get you your merchandise very quickly.
We can always go in and do some too.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Go right
So-
ahead.
Well, you're the merchandise
Okay.
expert.
So we'll kind of piggy.
Hold on. So, the parts business we have on the side that's always flips everybody out, they always call me and they're like, hey, Brad, how much is a so-and-so or how much is a wheel bearing? I'm like, I don't know. Call Dallas. She's the one that does all that, not me. So anytime there's a question, I always ask her.
Yeah, so I'm the face of Warp Speed. I don't know if that's a good or bad idea. But comment on PPMs like they're talking about, and we'll enter you in for a T-shirt as well. So just kind of piggybacking off what they're going to do.
Absolutely. So there you go. Like, comment, subscribe, and in your comment you have to.
Hit that button.
There you go, buddy. Yeah. Comment Brad's car number, and you will be entered for a chance to win a hat and hoodie from PPM and a shirt from Days of Dirt with Brad Berry. Again, if you haven't checked it out, check out their YouTube, Days of Dirt with Brad Berry on YouTube. Great content, great people. Give you a lot of behind the scenes and insight on racing. Far more than a lot of people show nowadays. A lot of people put in just the good stuff. And, so I appreciate them being real on YouTube and being the same people there as they are in person. So, again, make sure to do all of that. And, again, guys, we appreciate y'all coming
Yeah.
in and being on the podcast with us. It's an honor. You know, it's great to see that we can get a lot of various people and different places coming in. It's truly awesome.
Absolutely, we appreciate y'all having us. We're nobody. We don't think we're anybody. So for y'all to ask us to come up here, that meant the world to us. And hopefully we get to come back and we didn't make it too awkward.
No, not at all.
Brad's been like a giddy kid all week, so.
I'm just looking forward to that steak.
Oh, but it's coming, buddy. It's coming. So, as always, guys, we all here appreciate y'all watching. Make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and comment to get all the merch for you in the next week. Again, when this comes out on Thursday, well, today, yeah, a week from today, you will be, golly, you will be entered for a chance to win all the merchandise. So make sure to do all of that. Check out ppmracingproducts.com for all of your parts needs, or give us a call at 865-354-9669. Or if you're looking for a local dealer, check out Warp Speed Performance. Ms. Dallas and Brad, they are over that. So, and they offer us. So as always, guys.
Where they located at?
Yeah, where you at, Brad?
Atala, Alabama.
There it is. So as always, guys, thank y'all for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Hey, subscribe, like.
Hit that button.
Come on, get it up on the wheel. Go in there. You just smell poop or see Jesus. Let's get it done.